Hello, welcome to the video. In this question, we're given 2 points, 3, 6 and 5, 9, and we're asked to think about how the x-coordinate and y-coordinate change as we move from one of those points to the other. So first let's think about this visually in terms of the graphs plotted on the line. So we'll look first at this part of the question, and then we'll move to the second part where we want to notice what happens if we think about starting at a different point, flipping the order of the point we start at. But here we are starting at point 36, and we need to move to point 59. So first let's think about how far do we need to move in the x direction. We're going to need to go over 2 steps in the x direction, and that gets us right below the point we're trying to get to. So we don't want to go any further in the x direction. My change in the x direction would be 2. Now for my change in the y direction, I need to go up 1, 2, 3 steps. So my change in the y direction would be 3. Notice that I use both of these numbers as positive. When I'm moving up in the y direction, that's considered positive. When I'm moving to the right in the x direction, that's also considered positive. Now let's look at the second part of the question. Now they say instead of starting at the point 36, we'd like to start at the point 59. So we're starting at 59, and I need to get back to the point 36. So to move in the x direction, I'm first going to take 2 steps to the left, which is considered 2 steps backwards. That gets me directly above the point I need to go to, so I'll stop moving in the x direction. So that was 2 steps back. So my change would be -2. And now to get down to the point I need, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 steps down. So that was 3 steps in a negative direction for y. So whenever I'm moving down in the y direction, I consider that negative. And whenever I'm moving to the right in the x direction, I consider that negative. So notice how the numbers match in both cases, but the signs of the numbers are changing depending on which is your starting and which is your ending point. Now notice we can also tie these calculations, the answers we're getting here for the changes, are connected to the numbers that we were given as our original x and y coordinates. We can think about the formula for change. We could say the change in x can always be calculated by taking the ending x and subtracting the starting x. And similarly for y, the change in y would be the ending y minus the starting y. So if we look at this formula here, my ending x value was 5. The x coordinate of my ending point was 5. My starting x was a 3. If I do 5 minus 3, that gives me the 2. For this case, my ending x was a 3. And my starting x was a 5, so 3 minus 5 gave me the -2. And the same is true for the y's. In this case, my ending y was a 9, and my starting y was a 6. 9 minus 6 gave me 3. In this case, my ending y was a 6, and my starting y was a 9, so 6 minus 9 gave me -3. So it's nice to know that we can check our answer in 2 ways here. One, we can find it by graph plotting the points and counting the steps we take in the x and y directions, or we can calculate change by taking the ending value and subtracting the starting value.